What if I told you there was once a show about football from 20 years ago that predicted CTE, dealt with closeted homosexuality, domestic violence, and the death of the modern running back, and so many of the things we know as a part of the ugly side of the NFL that was
Yeah, I already know why they got this show up out the way. He just hit on everything that the NFL is trying to cover up, that the NFL don't really want to acknowledge at all. So I can see why this show is non-existent right now, or nobody knows about it, or he knows at least. Maybe it's before my time. Let's go.
that was so good it was canceled after one season. In 2003, ESPN, for reasons I really don't understand and can't fathom, decided they would try to make a gritty television drama out of the NFL with its show Playmakers. This decision was incredibly weird and is still unprecedented because ESPN had no original drama on its channel at the time. It was really only a few years into being a huge player in the world of sports media. They were not yet the juggernaut they would eventually become, and I wonder if there's like an alternate universe where this show is successful and continues on, and then suddenly we get a lot more sports-based drama media, because like sports drama is really under like utilized in our American media, at least. I know
I feel like the closest thing we get to this, I don't know if he gonna say it. The closest thing we gonna get to this is probably Hard Knocks. When you get to see like, oh yeah, like the 53-man roster comes out, and it's happy for fans, right? If you're not following these teams on a daily basis, but the team that's Hard Knocks is following, that HBO Max is following. Oh yeah, they why did I say HBO Max? They showing these boys getting cut. They showing these people struggling like in practice. Like I think this past season on Hard Knocks, like the running back that was like foregoing like being a doctor to try to be in the NFL. Like he was doing really well. And at the end, last game of the season or preseason, tears his ACL. Like you did all of that stuff. You struggling in practice. You get in the game, you ball out, you score, and then tear your ACL. Like that's dramatic. That's true. that there's this trauma is on television because it's you see like yeah, like they made the roster, like they got these new rookies and it's exciting, but like the real injuries, the real life stuff, that people fighting for a roster spot, hey, that could get kind of dark seeing these people, and it's just for our entertainment, real drama, but not as much. So let's see where you're going with this.
I know that Ted Lasso show was popular with white people. I ain't never seen the shit.
You second guess more than a
Me
shitty
either.
psychic. The only African I know more imprisoned by their own thoughts is goddamn Nelson Mandela.
But like beyond that, there really should be so much more happening with the intersection of sports and like TV drama. There's so much to pull from there. I would literally murder someone to get a like at least 10 episode mini series about the Monday Night Wars. Please, somebody, now that Vince McMahon is basically out the picture, can y'all license that? Like, what's going on? Anyway, out of nowhere, ESPN premieres this show and it's immediately a hit. The 90s were full of gritty looks in the world of football and just gritty drama in general. You have The Sopranos happening, Oz, NYPD Blue is big. And then like you also have gritty football drama. Any Given Sunday is probably the closest thing to the show, and it came out in 1999.
Really? I know some of this was like dramatized. I probably shouldn't have been watching this movie when I was younger. I need to rewatch Any Given Sunday. I saw Cam Newton this week had on a Willie Beeman jersey. That song still is like stuck in my head. But they showed the ugly side of pro sports. But I need to rewatch this movie.
The movie The Program did a similar thing in 1993. Yeah. This is also the era of NFL Blitz and Mutant League Football, which I know only a handful of y'all are going to remember. So I'm going to go ahead.
Hell no, I don't know. I know all the other ones. You lost me at that last one. That shit old as hell.
Show you a clip.
Yeah, nope. Oh.
And this is not just a game, but also a cartoon.
And if Bones won't play for his Slay City Slayers, then KT Slayer will make sure that Razor doesn't play at all.
And then there's this horrifying scene from The Last Boy Scout, a like truly 90s action movie. And I just have to show it to you. because like I can't describe it. So yeah, there is a tradition.
Yo, I thought I didn't see this movie, but I do remember that scene, bro. I thought that was like, I thought that was a skit or something, dude. He pulled out the strap.
Tradition of taking the intrinsic like drama and violence
Oh
of
my
football
God.
and saying, how fucked up does the world around this sport have to be really? Like all that inspirational Rudy shit, that's cute and all. Remember the Titans? That's nice. But what if a dude kept a blicky under his jockstrap and he really needed to score? Here's the problem. This show, Playmakers, was so good and so true to the behind the scenes issues of the NFL that it was hitting a little too close to home. It was low key maybe fucking up the bag for ESPN. The NFL was keenly aware of the type of imagery that this show was putting on display and that this was not as fantasy as they would have liked the public to believe. In terms of big evil media corporations who exploit their labor, it doesn't get too much worse than NFL. And for decades, they've been running their league like a carnival zoo, allowing players to both get bludgeoned and brutalized on the field by the sport, but also to bludgeon and brutalize people off the field in the name of the sport. It's just that we weren't in the information age yet, so a lot of those things that were happening were much easier to hide. For example, in 2000, only a couple of years before this show existed, legendary linebacker who won 2 Super Bowls, Ray Lewis, after only his first year in the league at the time, was charged with murder, accused of stabbing to death a man here in my hometown of Atlanta. This actually had like ridiculous ramifications for Atlanta nightlife. Like everybody in Atlanta knows that the city changed after Ray Lewis got off. In 2006, only a few years after this, quarterback.
But like, yeah. But these still are like known things. But that's a sign of the times. So, cause could you imagine, bro? Like, who's the like? Could you imagine? I know Patrick Queen plays for the Steelers right now, but if he just poked somebody up, he would be out the league. Like, still, even this might be a little bit more of a reach, but like, if Henry Ruggs was back in that era he was in, he probably would have a chance to like get back to the league, albeit he still have to serve his time. But I think he would have had a better chance of getting back into the league. I think he would have had a better chance. Not saying that it would have been a slam dunk. Yeah, he's back, but a chance, yeah.
His quarterback Ben Roethlisberger would have the first
In
of
his case,
2 sexual assault cases levied against him in his early career. A year later, quarterback Michael Vick, an NFL megastar at the time, who had a character loosely based on him in the show Playmakers, was arrested on suspicion of running an illegal dogfighting ring, which eventually sent him to jail for a year. And this is in between.
I hate that happened to Michael Vick, but yeah, bro, like Michael Vick gets shit to this day about the dog fighting thing, and like some of it is joke, some of it is troll, but about that, and his cousins was doing that, and then Ben Roethlisberger is gonna be in the Hall of Fame, no problem, no questions asked, and he got that surrounding him. Even Adrian Peterson with his kids, you know what I'm saying? Like, shit is crazy, bro. Shit is crazy.
In between what seemed like countless incidents of domestic violence that would pop up regularly, a little bit of a steroid scandal, and infamously the Ray Rice assault case in 2013 that was caught on camera. On top of that, there were constantly stories about fights and scuffles at the club between, maybe drunken fans and haters and NFL players who didn't know how to, stay out of trouble. Most significantly from this era, I remember the murder of Darren Williams, a young cornerback from the Denver Broncos who was shot after an altercation at a club. But more than all of this really ugly stuff is the uglier reality that was only alluded to in the show, but served to be probably its most prescient storyline, the ongoing issue with football and CTE. One of the characters, a linebacker named Olsik, sorry, Polish people, shout out to Polish people. Shout out to Chicago. We won this week. Shout out, looking up that name though. This character suffers from headaches and just general erratic behavior and feeling like something's wrong with him as he contemplates his future in
They kind of look like the Lions, though. Is they? Or they like the Panthers or some shit? But they look exactly like the Lions old jerseys.
the league. And this predates but echoes experiences from players like Dan Morgan, Luke Kuechly, and probably most notably Chris Borland, a linebacker who had a Pro Bowl season in his rookie year with the San Francisco 49ers and then retired that same year before he could ever really cash in.
Hey man, shout out to Chris Borland. Did your thing, but he did what's best, and that's why the Tua thing throw me so bad. Like he got out before it got to the worst of the worst of the worst, and that's what scared me so bad about Tua. Like I know you love football, but your will to live and your foresight into the future gotta take a greater level of urgency over playing football, bro. Like don't get me wrong, football is fun. You making millions of dollars, like you doing what you love. Like you did your whole life to do this, bro. But I think it take a certain thing to click for you to be like, all right, yeah, bro. Like that these concussions, these injuries, it's time. It's time. I gotta call it. I gotta get out. You gotta get out early. You gotta get out early. You can't get out when it's too late. You cannot reverse that shit.
Cash in on his success in the NFL only because he feared his mental health. Of all the problems that the NFL has on his record, I think that CTE was probably the most concerning even back then because players were having severe mental health issues after their playing days were over, and we would see a slew of players die mostly by their own hands for the next decade, as well as lawsuits that would be levied against the league for better medical care for players after their playing days were over, as well as a greater focus on player safety. So all of this stuff was on display in this show. The NFL fully understood that it had them dead to rights. In fact, the show was mild compared to what was really going on in the NFL at the time. It was clearly written by people who had insider knowledge and a full understanding of how dirty the game really was. We just didn't realize it yet. So what do you think the response to the show was from the NFL? Did they get proactive and clean up the league from drugs and get players social and medical support to keep them healthy and out of trouble? Maybe even help players like manage their money better and give them therapy so that they don't just feel like jocks and bucks being strewn out there to be gladiators to be chewed up and spit out by the league? No. They got the show canceled after only one season. The NFL's then commissioner, Paul Tagliabue, made some statements and likely a few phone calls calling the show a gross mischaracterization of our sport. Not even hiding it, the NFL, who gave the very lucrative rights to Sunday Night Football games to ESPN at the time, was not happy and did not want that show to continue, even though the show was the second highest rated thing on ESPN in that year, only behind Sunday Night Football. ESPN understood that, yeah, they could take this different route with original content, but they would lose these surefire big bucks that was the NFL game licensing rights, and it would just not be worth it for them in the long run, so they capitulated. And unlike today, where shows can be shopped around to 500 different streaming services and get bought up again, the show never got a second life. This was the end of Playmakers. The closest thing we got to it not long after that was the BET sitcom The Game, which I really didn't watch. This is
That wasn't. I need to go find this show wherever it is and compare it to the game because I felt like while they touched on serious topics for the most part, the game was comedic, bro. Like it was sitcom TV. It's jokes. They had serious episodes. They had like relationship stuff going on, family stuff, divorce. Like I already said, it touched on serious topics, but what it if it was bad enough for the NFL to come in, you did something that they ain't like because the game went on for a while. So you had to do something for them to step in. You had to do something that they didn't like, especially with the concussion thing. They tried to get that Will Smith movie about that concussion doctor. Yeah, they tried to get that up out of here. They tried to stop that. So and now everything is health and safety. We wearing guardians in games now and all this other stuff and protecting players. Blue tent, concussion protocol, all these things. So I would like to see what this show really was and watch it for myself.
This is a light work, so I didn't take time to go back and watch the series. I remember it being a bit over the top and like ultra gritty as a lot of things were in the early 2000s and late 90s. Like it probably feels like what the Entourage must feel like to people today. Do y'all remember Entourage?
Nope.
Do y'all want to remember Entourage? Moving on. But ever since then, the NFL has been much more rigid in the policing of its product. Not long after this, we get the exclusive licensing to EA Sports for Madden, allowing the NFL to have complete control over that franchise. And if you know how that's affected that video game. We see future NFL shows and movies that use their likeness to be much, much more rigid to how the NFL is allowed to be depicted. Like HBO Ballers has a little bit of an edge, but it's much, much milder than Playmakers. Even the supposed dramatic...
I still gotta watch it, bro, because hold on. Like, again, it got elements, but it don't really go that it's more so on the business side of things. Like, you ain't really in no locker rooms with these guys. They telling stories after the fact.
The dramatic telling of the NFL's history of hiding CTE concussion starring Will Smith with a fucked up Nigerian accent.
By my calculations,
this was incredibly watered down and had a lot of good people on both sides type energy to help the NFL save face. The NFL...
I mean, I don't think it's really saving face because I think the fact that they let that movie come out, because not everybody knew about CTE, or they thought it was more like a joke thing about concussions. Nobody really knew what it was. So for the NFL to let that come out, you know what I'm saying? That's tough. That's tough. That's a tough one for them to let go, bro. Because that made it basically mainstream. Like if you was around it, yeah, you knew somewhat about it and people suffering from it and doing weird stuff. But like it's a lot of cases that I just learned about this year. People who were struggling with their mental health from playing football and doing heinous acts, but they don't know whether it's contributed to CTE or they was just crazy. But from what I've seen, I'm leaning towards it was from brain damage, bro. Because you don't go from being normal your whole life. Like, what's the thing that set you over? Oh, you played football for 17, 18, 20 years, getting hit in the head, no real concussion protocol, no baseline for you to go off of. Yeah, bro, it's tough. And then the people who do donate their brains, they see what happened. Brain is fried.
NFL has been and probably will always be a big, powerful, and ruthless media corporation that does not want anything to tarnish their brand, even if it's things that are really, really good. But they can't stop me. Actually, that's not true. They most definitely can stop me. They have on multiple occasions already. One of my favorite videos from last year is a video I did on how racism and capitalism killed the NFL running back. It features former NFL players Aaron Foster and Aaron Maven as they talk about their experiences in the league and how the NFL exploits its players. It's one of my better videos, even though some of the takes didn't age as well as I wish they would have. Who knew that Kyron Williams was going to be a top 5 running back last year? Don't act like you did. I didn't, but it is what it is. The video bombed out the gate for a couple.
If you watch college football, you see Kyron Williams can ball. Link him up with a good offensive coordinator. There you have it. It's nice balance in the pass and the running game. You know what I'm saying? I drafted him in fantasy. He did amazing. I picked him up in waivers in another league. So, hold on.
The gate for a couple of reasons. Number one, my sports videos, like my YouTube audience, does not watch sports. And that's fine.
I do, bro.
I understand. I'm trying to...
No, I'm not the audience, bro, but you know what I'm saying? I'm with you on the sports stuff, bro. I'm with you, cuz. I do need to watch the I started the running back video, the run video. Started that one. I gotta finish it, but keep making them, bro. Because keep making them. That's all I'm gonna say.
I'm trying to grow that organically. I'm gonna take those L's. This video is not gonna do nearly as good as my video about Drake or anything else, but it is what it is. But the other reason it didn't do well is because it's kind of ugly at parts. Like there's so many clips that I had to use ugly blurring effects to cover up NFL licensed media because the NFL is super strict about their media when it comes to fair use, in that they're really just not fair with the use. The only way you'll be able to see that video in its original format without these big, ugly gray blocks is on my streaming service,
All
Nebula.
right, Jay, y'all
For
tapped in the
those who don't
Nebula with
know,
him.
Nebula is
All right, bro. That's gonna do it for this one, bro. Another good video by FD Signifier, man. Yeah, keep it up with the sports videos, bro. To post this to the main channel. But yeah, shout out to him. And make sure you subbed up. Make sure you like this video if you want to see more reactions like this. And without further ado, spin the 111 show. And I'm gonna get us up out of here. Cool.